Lies. Lies. Okay. Yeah. Uh, I mean, yeah, we can. Well, I mean, we've got 317 in PTU or in Evocati testing right now. Presumed PTU release is going to be, or they're saying they're aiming for later on this week here for 317. Anything else? I don't even know if I even watched that one. I don't remember, honestly. Also, Data said he's going to be a little late. Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah, but I mean, we are still kind of just seeing. No. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see how we get it once it's actually in. Yeah. But they still got a whole other patch cycle to go through here, so theoretically. Nope, too late. You barely touched it. Bam. Yeah, I think that's all we got for Star Citizen. I'm just waiting for docking to come to my Carrack and all the other ships that have docking collars. Yeah. Well, there was, what was it? New wrecks, or should I say like recent wrecks, which are for the most part what we're currently seeing. Old wrecks, which are things like, this thing crashed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever. It's all like rusted out. The plants or weather. There's like snow, it's accumulated around it, that kind of shit. And then lived in or occupied wrecks to where like survivors or scavengers went and found the wreck and used it to build up a home or outpost or whatever. So definitely good stuff. I just wish that it didn't always seem like the cool stuff is always, like 2 years out kind of shit. And I mean, part of it is too, like we've gotten good stuff. I mean, like for example, the inventory we work, like was it needed? Sure. However, with the actual tool we've gotten is far from what both CIG wants, and they know it too. It's like they're like, look, this is only the first implementation of it. We've thrown a few band-aids on there to make it so it's not just absolute hot garbage. But further major updates to it are going to take more time, which is understandable. Just in the interim, it kind of stinks. Now we want to be years down the line when we're getting all the real nice quality of life updates to it, not just, hey, we made sure it doesn't kill the game. Same with medical. Like I barely even know anyone who does any medical beacons because half the time there's some kind of an ambush. Even when you do go and do them, like I did one like 2 weeks ago just for giggles, just because someone was in chat kind of going like, hey, can someone help? I was at this bunker. I'm like right by the door. Can someone please go and get me up? And I'm like, I'm in the area. Yeah, I'll come over and help you out. And even though I took the mission so that way I would get the beacon for them there, I never got paid for it because, oh hey, medical admissions, you only get paid if you apparently transport them actually to a hospital. If you just get them up and they go on their merry way, you get paid nothing, and they're still out the 15K for making a medical beacon. It costs them that much no matter what. It's just you don't get paid it unless you take them to a hospital. It's like, who thought this was a good idea? And down the line, of course, yeah, maybe insurance will go and pay that, so it's not just out of pocket. Because hey, that's a pretty hefty thing to be losing, especially if you're going down a lot. Oh yeah, no. And well, and also too, one other problem is, like I said, sometimes the medical beacons, like players will intentionally go. You might have a criminal player with their friend. Their friend goes and downs them. They put out a medical beacon. Their friend will go and revive them, which, and I don't know right now if that counts as the mission. But maybe their criminal friend just leaves them down. You go in there, you see the one ship, so you're like, okay, yeah, I see the guy's ship. Okay, I'm going in, and then the guy's friend goes and downs you. He ambushes you, and it's like, well, fuck. What's even the point then of trying to help someone when I'm getting screwed over for that? I already wasn't making money. Now I'm losing my shit. Why even bother? So there's a lot that needs to go into it still. But yeah. hits, they die. Yeah. Well, from what I've heard, it's been confirmed from CD Projekt Red that this game is going, or at least that the logo used is from a here, an up until now unmentioned additional school of Witchers. Beyond that, we don't know. So I would say it would be plausible that we might have a new main character from this new henceforth unmentioned school. Maybe it's Geralt investigating, like, hey, everyone from the Link school disappeared. Try to figure out what some shit like that. We don't know, but and we'll see how much that's worth because with Cyberpunk, they said, you know, and part of the problem too is that you might even have, the game director was like, nope, I am fully against crunch. We aren't going to do it. and then your CEO goes and says, "Hey, by the way, I've moved up your release date, or we're holding you to the current release date, even though you're telling us you need another 6 months of time. We don't fucking care. What you get done in that time is what you get done." I'm like, well, shit. Either we release a shitty product or a slightly less shitty product and hope for the best. Crunch time. Yeah, no one won except for investors who were looking for a quick buck from CD Projekt Red. Well, to a degree, any if they were just looking for, hey, I bought some stock, or I'm a majority stakeholder in some way, I got X revenue that I was expecting, um, that would really be it. But it did. But if you sold immediately after the game, like immediately after the game released, you yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. You're stupid. Jeez, Mando, what the frick? Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, it's a good sentiment, I guess.
No, it is, but we'll believe it when we see the game released and is good quality and they didn't go and do crunch. So we'll see. Yep.
Well, I would, here's my opinion on crunch time. Crunch time is not a bad thing in and of itself. It's when it stretches on to like months and months. Like the job that I used to have, it was seasonal crunch time, right? You know, we're talking 12 to 12-hour days, 6 days a week. And then after the season passed, then it went back to normal 8-hour days. So it's a great sentiment saying, hey, no crunch time, but video
Yeah,
games
well,
are
we'll see how it
project
really plays out.
well, video games are project oriented. So at the end of the project, when you got to do all the bug fixing and make everything fit and look good at the very end, when you're trying to tie everything together, it makes sense that there would be a crunch time. And I'm not 100% opposed to that happening. It's just the nature of project oriented type work.
No. Or can we? Just imagine everyone for the past like 20 minutes just hearing me blabbering. Just imagine.
Yeah, well,
everyone
I
for
can
the
hear you,
past
but
like 20 minutes just
Yeah,
hearing
and I can
me
hear you fine.
blabbering. Just imagine.
yeah, well,
What the fuck? As you wander? But do you know the Muffin Man?
Ow. This is very weird.
Blame Canada.
I mean, my microphone output should be higher than the output of you guys on the stream. That's weird. Because sometimes I'm sitting away from the mic. Why is it not lit?
Now?
Everything's fine on my end. I don't know why it's not registering on YouTube.
Works fine on my machine.
I mean, I'm the one streaming it, and it's working for me. Why isn't it working? Oh, now you can hear me. Oh, thanks, YouTube.
So, okay, well,
So I'm blaming you. I'm blaming YouTube entirely for that one because everything was working on my end.
Time to redo the last 20 minutes of conversation.
Wow, because I read the entire article. God damn it.
See, this is why you shouldn't read articles, Mando. Look what it's done to you.
Yeah. This is why Twitch is a better platform to stream on than YouTube. But no one watches us on Twitch, so. Hey, alright, well, yeah, so game director of the new Witcher game. Just on the topic of the Witcher game though, so well, it was essentially it's going to be a spin-off or a sequel or maybe even a prequel. No one really knows. It's just that the symbol used on the reveal of the new game is a lynx instead of a wolf, and it's implying that there's a unknown new Witcher school that the game will be following. And the game director obviously is going not on my watch when it regards to crunch, and given that CDPR is notorious for crunch, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it, but I doubt that that's really different, especially since every time CDPR makes a new game, oh, we're never going to do crunch, and then they end up doing crunch.
Surprise!
Like last minute, like, oh crap, we planned this poorly, it was horribly managed. Now we gotta work overtime. You all have to work overtime in order to get this product out by the X date, because the management fucked up. So I do notice that I did somehow fixed the issue with my mic bleeding into output volume too, so that's nice. No more echo.
Hooray!
One issue solved another issue. Computer science at its finest.
Now, if only I could figure out what my fault for it keeps crashing.
Because you have almost 1,000 mods.
Shh, details.
Yeah, like this sum up the article is pretty much going on. It pretty much says, hey, look, they're not going to do crunch this time around, and then it goes on to list all the times they've done crunch in the past.
Yeah,
like with Cyberpunk 2077, even The Witcher 3, and how CDPR back in 2017, they're like CDPR's game development approach to making games is not for everyone, according to them back in 2017. Yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't believe them. Like, hopefully, look, regardless, hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully he's right. There is no crunch, and they make a good game, and not broken on release. But
well, I mean, we're still waiting for. And I mean, I'll say they've managed to, for the most part, fix up a lot of the issues that Cyberpunk had, which is great. It's absolutely good that they've been working on that, getting out updates, fixing this stuff up. Wonderful. However, on top of that, it's like, okay, when are we ever going to see the multiplayer? When are we ever going to see additional content?
I think they delayed that indefinitely.
Maybe. That's entirely possible. We don't know. So it's like, I'm like, I wanna start seeing not just bug fixes and tweaks, but I want to start seeing more content. Like, and it's like we've gotten, like, the apartments, definitely nice, definitely great.
Step in the right direction for sure.
We got those, but it's like, I guess I want to see like more quests. I want to go and see like additional NPCs or NPC lines. Like, I want to see not just, hey, we were working on this before, and only now that we've gotten some of these bug fixes out of the way, now we can finally finish this content and actually get it out to you. But I want to see new content, not just old stuff that's been patched up and released and finally released and put out now. But it's probably going to be a while for that.
Yeah. Data, since you're here, and we apparently I was muted for YouTube. Back to the Star Citizen real quick. You watched the Star Citizen live, or at the very least, Noob roundup of it.
Was that the most recent one? I'm not sure if I.
Yeah, we're talking about life support and
oh yeah,
jettisoning fuel tanks, stuff like that.
Right.
But also, for anyone that didn't hear me obviously before, this past Inside Star Citizen, so last Thursday, as of this recording, the sprint report covered new docking areas being created for space stations that don't currently have ability for ships to dock around Crusader. Mess hall, bathroom, cockpit, pilot dashboard, and pilot view for the Drake Interplanetary Corsair has been complete. So, and obviously it takes a lot of visual cues from the Caterpillar. Makes sense. Both Drake ships.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Final art pass for the Drake Vulture, displaying 3. Well, they say 3 paints, but they show off 4.
Yeah.
They got the default yellow here. You got the
Well,
black and orange.
You know what's going to happen is like one of them. Well, all of them will be on sale, I'm sure, at
Yeah.
some point. What I want to see in regards to paints, when the fuck are we ever going to get more paints added to the in-game store?
I don't know, but I'm with you that we need more, and we need more for more ships. Like, because a lot of ships just don't have
they
paint
keep
options
on
at all.
focusing on like the Freelancer or the
Avenger or the Arrow
or the Constellation, but it's like, where's the skins?
Have you even
for
seen
the
Constellation
Prospector?
paint jobs? I haven't. I
mean,
definitely haven't
we've
seen any for the
gotten several.
Cutlass.
I know there's been several. The Cutlass is another one, but like where's the paint jobs for like the Pisces? Where's the paint jobs for? I know the Mole and the Prospector got some. A little
Well, remember,
bit
don't
ago, but
don't
it
get
was a single.
don't get the on the RSI website paint jobs confused with ones that you can purchase in game.
Well, correct. Oh yeah, no.
Because by that
in
standard,
game, you only have
most ships don't have.
essentially you only ever got the initial release of skins, which was like there was like the Arrow, the Avenger, the Constellation. I want to say there was like 1 or 2 Mustang ones in there, a handful of others, and that's it. And that's not been updated since they first came out. Come on.
Yep. And we did get the salvage tool. A first look at the hand-based salvage tool, which we'll get more info and footage of as they get closer to releasing. And Data, I was telling Cam, like, you think they should change the visual of it a little to make it more distinct from the other multi-tool attachments?
I don't remember seeing what it looked like.
I have it on the
honestly.
screen right now. It's blue like the others.
I don't know. I mean, since it's kind of like first iteration, then
True,
I think
true.
whatever they've got available at the time is probably all right.
I mean, the effect they have for, like, the particle effect they have for it is great. I just think maybe a different color or a different hue.
Yeah.
Just because they're all blue, so you don't, like, eventually you're going to have so many of these attachments that you want to be able to have, for gameplay purposes, the player know which one is being used at first glance.
Yeah, I imagine
they
that
probably will change it, but because I mean they
part of-
were saying it was just placeholder.
particle effect. Oh yeah. They did say that all the effects in that video were just
subject to change,
placeholders,
yeah.
So.
Well, I know, that's why I'm saying, like, what do you think they should change it to?
Oh, color-wise, I have no idea what would be a good.
I
if
just
you're
don't
stripping,
want to see
maybe
purple.
a red color,
Or
but
maybe like an
I don't
orange?
know.
To
Yeah, orange or
salvage?
red,
I don't know.
something like that.
Kind of an industrial color.
I'm not sure that I wouldn't just prefer it to be like no color and just have like the
Maybe some kind of, like
see it
invisible
stripping.
particle. Like, keep those spark particle effects they have going on, but no blue hue or any color hue.
yeah,
Just,
no. Yeah,
that would be pretty
I think
cool.
I would like that,
I'd go for
honestly.
that.
Maybe just have like a distortion effect, so it gives you that kind of ripple look.
So this way you know
Yeah.
there's a visual beam. It's just it's not a color
Yeah,
beam.
you can
It's a
see where
distorted.
it's at, but it's like a transparent kind of thing.
Keenan says, "Wonder if they will add community-sourced paint jobs." Oh, I hope so.
That would be nice. They would absolutely have to be vetted, of course, but that would be nice.
Oh, obviously, but
It'd be cool.
it would be cool even if they have to do a vetted thing. I hope they would, because then you're gonna have people doing like, oh, here's a dick on a spaceship.
That's a way down the road thing to think about, though.
So we got time for that to be either a yay or nay from CIG. Moving back forward, I guess. Back forward. Anyway,
Backwards, frontwards, side
from
to
Star
side.
Citizen to the other. So Tencent game revenue went up to $27 billion in 20.
Ew.
Now, obviously, for those that don't know, Tencent owns, I think, approximately 48.4% of Epic Games. they'll, if you look on Google or whatever, it's just going to round down to 40. But they own essentially half of Epic Games. They own all of Riot. Like, Riot is essentially part of them now. They have stakes in Ubisoft. Their partners Activision Blizzard, Paradox, PUBG, League of Legends. Well, they own League of Legends because Riot Games. They're even they have stakes in Discord, Path of Exile, Rocket League. I think they own now as well. It's huge. So obviously they're making a lot of money. Of course, it'd be China-based company that the Security and Exchange, no, not the Security Exchange Commission, the Office of Finance, the U.S. Office of Financial Security is looking into it. Is looking into Tencent because they want to see if it's like breaching of security. That Tencent has their hands in all these American corporations.
They have no wrongdoing.
Yeah. But it is. I find it concerning. Remember back in 2019, the Epic Game Store was leeching data off of users' computers, whether it be Steam-related data or credit card information. Yeah, they still are. But the story broke originally in 2019. No one talks about it since then, unfortunately. Should.
Well, like even what was it? The EU was originally ruling like for EA's loot boxes. They were originally going like, "Hey, this is quite obviously gambling."
But now they're doubling back. Well, no, not the UK. What's face? Not the UK. It was another country.
I thought it was the EU. It
was the EU. Yeah, well, it wasn't the UK though, but it was someone else.
I didn't say UK.
I thought you said UK. That's my mistake, man.
I said EU.
Sorry.
They then like just like a month or two ago, I think.
Yeah,
it was that ruling back and was like, oh well, it's not actually gambling. It's like
it was the Dutch.
Guarantee some fucking donations went around, and
I believe it was the Dutch specifically. We covered it on I don't remember what country it was specifically, but it was a specific country.
It was like Denmark or something.
But yeah, the whole Tencent. They were stealing data. Well, Epic Games was stealing data. The Epic Game Store was stealing your data, and it was selling it to a third-party company in China. Obviously, it's not good.
Well, especially too, considering we know also all their information goes right to the Chinese government. So it's like they're using theirs. If they were like, hey, because right now, China is abso-fucking-lutely looking at what's going on in Ukraine between Russia and them.
Yeah, especially since they just became friends with Russia shortly before.
They're absolutely going, okay, when, I don't say if, I say when, China decides to go and pull the trigger on their plans to go and try to retake Taiwan by force, they're absolutely going to be using cyber attacks, and they're going to be knowing, of course, that as they're seeing with the world's response here, the world's going to be against them. Now, I would say that probably the response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine has probably delayed their plans here by a good bit, because they're like, well, shit, we need to have some pretty rock solid shit because it's going to get stormy real fast. But they'd be absolutely looking at, okay, what can we go and put out there to attack not only the U.S. and other governments that would be against them, but also the populace. The more you make them suffer, the less likely they're willing to go, and people are willing to go and support action against you until you tick us off so much that we're spiteful and then we don't care anymore. But
yeah,
because they aren't just doing this shit to make better ads or some bullshit.
International games show largest growth, but domestic games still lead at $20. So some statistics for Tencent stuff, but it's, I don't know. I'm personally, it's kind of scary to have Chinese companies that have so much stake American companies that essentially through entertainment control
And
American culture. So,
and we've seen time and time again that companies are absolutely willing to go and bend their knee when China goes and says, "Hey, you can't have that," or "Hey, we don't like this." Oh, of course we'll go and tailor this to what you want, because otherwise they don't get access to the Chinese markets and all that sweet money. I mean, for example, how many games, especially in I mean, not many games, how much in entertainment have you seen a Oriental, I won't even say Chinese, but an Oriental themed villain? Last one was maybe the well, I mean, I would argue the last one was maybe when we had, what was it, Iron Man 2 with the Mandarin? Iron Man 3. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, well, no, exactly. And then they tried to play it off with the Ten Rings that, oh, this guy was making a mockery of me, and here I am. And even then, we have a very sympathetic villain, which, and I would argue it was a relatively well written villain, but even then, and if I remember right, the Legend of the Ten Rings got fucking blocked in China.
yeah, because the director in the past has said anti-communist statements against the Chinese government, so that way that blacklisted the movie and everything that person does in China. But even though the movie was made to kind of kowtow to them anyways, despite that it was never going to be made in
shit to kowtow, it might not be enough.
It's not even that. It was like they kowtowed anyways, even though China was already like, no, we're not going to show this because of the direct.
Yep.
And because like that's why I think I don't know if this is true or not. But, like the main actor was gay or something, and they were kind of like,
who knows?
They were afraid of saying it because they didn't want to hurt their standing with China, because China doesn't like it. Yeah, and Data and I last night I saw an article, and we were talking about it, how the actor that played Shang-Chi in Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, he's at AwesomeCon. He refused to sign and autograph the original Shang-Chi comic books that people were bringing, like autograph the original copies of Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, because apparently it was offensive. How, someone has to explain to me, because I don't know. But apparently it was offensive.
How the fuck is autograph? Like someone comes up to you and goes, "Hey, I mean, for example, someone goes up to Robert Downey Jr. and goes, "Hey, you played Iron Man.
Sign my original copy of Iron Man, yeah.
And you go and sign my original comics, which has nothing to do with Robert Downey Jr., but he's playing the character of, like."
Right, it'd be like, "Hey, I got an autograph."
Where does offense even enter into the conversation?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah,
such as the world of politics.
And for anyone who don't know, the original 1970, either 73 or 74, I think it was 73, but the original Shang-Chi comics were called Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu. Like, that's what the comic was titled. So, like, if that's offensive somehow, then, like, half of the Kung Fu movies that exist are offensive in title. Like, by whatever hell standard that is, but I don't know.
You're trying, or these corporations and governments too, are trying to appease. Really, they're trying to appease an entire country, or rather the
narrow-minded ideology that the country employs.
And it's like, you cannot possibly, without much bowing and scraping and bending over backwards and lubing up your own ass for them, like you can't really realistically kowtow to them. And it's like, and even when you do, as we're seeing, even when you do,
it's never enough.
That's the thing. Piss off anyway.
Yeah, like, I mean, it'll never be enough. That's why it's a effort and futility, at least to me. But obviously, that I'm not. rationale and not just look at the dollar signs, because money's green, so they don't care. But the whole like kung fu thing. By the way, I recently rewatched Ip Man. That is a good movie. Just completely off topic, but like Ip Man's a good. That has that's what China versus Japan in that film. Set in 1940, I think 1940s or early 1940s, when Japanese invaded China. Yeah, that was and that was Oriental villain. And that movie came out in 2008. I think the first one or second one that came out. I don't know. It was in 2000s.
Which one are we talking about?
Ip Man. Master Ip.
I do not even know. Never seen him.
It's a good movie. It's about it's a story about Bruce Lee's mentor.
Who?
Bruce Lee, mentor.
Oh, Bruce Lee.
Yes.
I thought you said Mercy, and my first thought
No,
was
I no.
chauffeur.
There is no Mercy here, Cam.
Bodyguard for Lex Luthor, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, Mercy. Mercy Graves. Isn't that her last name, Mercy Graves? But yeah, moving on. Speaking of money and illicit activities, let's go talk about extortion and Netflix. So Netflix is continuing their push into the video game industry. I mean, they're in the form. Netflix is continuing their push into the extortion market. I mean, mobile games industry. And ruined that joke there, but yeah. So they've acquired Boss Fight Entertainment in their acquisition. Everyone's acquiring studios nowadays. It's the new thing. Epic is acquiring studios like hotcakes. Tencent's buying out studios. Microsoft, Sony, everyone's buying studios. All the billionaires are doing it.
It's what all the cool kids do, right? Tee-hee.
Popular and cool are two different things.
I never said they weren't.
But yeah, so they bought Boss Fight Entertainment. I mean, their goal, But when they first initially started, like, they want to make mobile games based on their original IPs. So like Stranger Things or whatever other Netflix original show. I don't even know. Really, the only Netflix shows that are original that I've seen are the Marvel Netflix one. The only one that was good was Daredevil season. And not even on a rewatchability, though. That's the problem with those. That's a different topic. Yeah, mobile games are extortion. They kind of are.
Well, I mean, they're all, at least nowadays,
yeah,
they're all pretty much made to be a fee-to-play kind of thing.
Yep. And that's not to say, like, oh, there aren't good ones out there. I'm sure there are. It's just they're there are exceptions to the rule, and they're far and few between.
Yes.
Sadly. Boss Fight's mission here, so the statement regarding the Boss Fight's mission is to bring simple, beautiful, and fun game experiences to our players wherever they want to play, because mobile games. Netflix commitment to offer ad-free games as part of member subscription enables game developers like us to focus on creating delightful gameplay without worrying about monetization. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Netflix is going to have their games be part of their monthly subscription service for Netflix.
I'm surprised they aren't adding a new monthly subscription.
I'm surprised too, but I forgot we covered. Let's see. This is Netflix's second games acquisition this month after Finnish mobile developer Next Games was purchased for $6. Wow, that's a lot. But then again, it's Netflix. They have the money.
They're saying we should make our own game company.
We should make our own game company, get bought out by Netflix, and then just bugger off with all the money.
What do you mean
yes!
The company has no employees? Well...
and last year they bought the streaming giant Oxenfree developer Night School Studio for an undisclosed sum. Earlier this month, the firm also named former PlayStation Senior Director of Corporate Strategy Roberto Barrera as its new head of gaming strategy, planning, and analysis. Rahimi had joined the company last last November as VP of Game Studios, while the former Facebook and EA executive Mike Verdu was Verda, I don't know, was appointed as VP of Game Development in July of 2020. So yeah, they're building up their little games thing. Their goal is to have mobile games being integrated into its subscription service, so you don't have any ads or macro transactions. Nothing above $1 is micro. But this way, you're just paying for the games as part of your subscription service. Now, here's a problem with that. For guys like us who have, like, because I don't know about you, but I have Netflix. I mean, I'm leeching it off my parents, but
or rather,
yeah, exactly. Our parents have Netflix.
They share the account, so
yeah, exactly. We share the account. They're not like my parents don't. Like my father will play, some games here and there because he's a big comic book fan. So if I have, I got Arkham Knight, I'll give him access to my account so he can play it too. But he doesn't play freaking games on his phone. He uses his phone the same way I do for calls and messages and maybe email, and that's about it. And for testing for website stuff because he's a programmer.
I barely know her.
The best kind of hers. No, bad joke. But no one I know in my family plays mobile games. Yet, and if they're gonna be paying for Netflix, and that's gonna be part of the subscription service, unless they're not raising the price, then it's fine. But if they're raising the price to accommodate the new content, right, through the mobile games, that means you're paying for something that
you don't even want.
Exactly. Now it'd be different if there was a tier. Like maybe they'll go with like a tier style subscription, like Hulu and Amazon have, where it's like if you have tier 0, you just get normal Netflix, but tier 1 gets the games and stuff. That's at least the smart way to do it, but I don't think that.
Well, the thing of it is, though, is you have companies adding stuff like that specifically so that they can go in and excuse charging you more when you are either getting the same product or less. I mean, look at, for example, colleges. Colleges will go and argue that, oh, well, hey, the reason why tuition is so much is that, we're including a gym membership in that because you can use our state-of-the-art athletic facilities, and we're including all of these like on-campus features. We've got a clinic you can go to at any time, blah, 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 blah. And then, oh, hey, the pandemic hit, and campuses closed down, and people are like, well, hey, since I can't use all these things you keep telling me are the reason why you're charging us so much, you're going to at least give me some kind of a lowered cost here because I can't use any of that stuff, right? Ha, no, get fucked. We're keeping your money. It's like, what the fuck?
Don't you mean what the frick frack snick snack patty whack give a dog a bone kind of bullshit is it?
Yes, but it doesn't work if you say it too often.
Yeah, the whole they're not gonna they're gonna do it in what makes them the most money, not what makes most sense to their customers.
Yep.
Which means, hey, let's just increase the fee and change nothing aside from just adding the games as part of that fee. And that means people that are never going to use or want these games on Netflix are going to be paying for them anyways.
Yep. I mean, look at too what like if you remember Xbox Live, and then it became Xbox Live Gold, and I don't even know what they call it now.
I think it's just Xbox Live now, and did they make it free? I don't even remember. I stopped paying for it back in, like 2-3 years ago now.
Bear in mind, it's been years since I've been on console, but I had an Xbox back on the original Xbox, and then I had 360, and after that I just moved to PC. I believe what happened was, so they had Xbox Live, and then they transitioned it over so that it used to be that if you did not have Xbox Live, you couldn't access any online services whatsoever. Then they made it on the Xbox One, I believe, they made it so that if you don't go and buy their little subscription, you have Xbox Live Silver, which gives you, bare bones access to everything here, but it won't let you access like multiplayer servers or that kind of stuff. So it does, I believe, lock you out of that stuff. Outside of there, I think you're good. And then just if you want to be playing the multiplayer stuff, you pay their Xbox Live Gold membership.
That's
Which
funny.
does look like it's, and that's probably going to be within the next couple of years rolled into Xbox Game Pass, probably.
Yeah, they're definitely prioritizing Xbox Game Pass because it's their most subscription service. You get a bunch of games. It's kind of a win-win the way they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is to a degree. Just the biggest thing that I really don't like about Game Pass, and I can definitely see, especially for a more casual gamer, and especially
Especially someone who
either,
prioritizes
if
their
you have the
Xbox.
money to spend, sure. If you're just like, hey, I just want to be able to just play stuff, and you buy the console, you buy the subscription, you're like, that's it. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to worry about anything else. I'm done. Sure, it's from that aspect, it's great, and it definitely allows for more ease of access. But what I really don't like about the whole Game Pass kind of thing, or any of the other, like EA Play, they called it, or all these different guys' subscription models, is that as soon as you stop paying, you have nothing. You
Yeah,
own nothing. I
even though
don't
you
like
have
this
these games
move
downloaded
away
on your
from
machine,
ownership
you
to
can't access
rental.
them. Like because I had the free trial. I remember when Outer Worlds came out, and the Outer Worlds, and I had a free trial to Xbox Game Pass, so I used it and played the
Yep.
game. But if I want to try and play it now, I can't. I also got Fallout New Vegas on my Xbox One through it. I can't play that because trial of Game
Like,
Pass.
and it would, if it
Even though
had
it's
something
installed
along
on
the
my
lines.
Xbox, I can't play it.
Yeah, and if it had something along the lines of like every 3 months that you have it, you can go and choose one game from a list of this costly games. It's like anything under $35 US. You can go and pick, and it's yours now. Or
Well,
every 6 months, you can choose from anything that, if you did not pick anything, or maybe even if you did pick the thing, the 35 or under a dollar game, okay, you can pick a $60 game, and then it's yours to keep. If they had something along those lines, I'd feel a lot better about it, just because that way you're still able to own some games, because it's like not everyone can afford to go and be paying, because how much is it a month? It's like at least, I want to say,
it's
like
$15 a
$15 a
month.
month.
15.
Yeah. So it's like, and it's like, sure, at least on a month to month basis, like, oh, okay, but then the next of the month rolls around, and hey, guess what? If you aren't paying, you don't get those games. Which, and that, of course, that's the whole point of a subscription model. But I just don't like the fact that you're paying and paying and paying, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to really show for it. And again, I understand that's how a subscription model works.
But Xbox Live did it
I
better.
just don't like
And
it.
Xbox Live was still a subscription model. I mean, $60
Yep.
a year, and
Yep.
like most of the games I have on my Xbox One, the last console I got, to my regret in some capacities, like Halo 5. But on the Xbox One, I have a lot of games. Most of them are digital because they were free because of Xbox Live. Like every month, Xbox Live was giving away 2 games for free. Sometimes they were crap, but other times it was like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, got that for free. Titanfall 2, got that for free. Battlefield 1, got that for free.
And it's like there's over time, this stuff changes, stuff evolves, but just like I said, I don't really like this move that so many companies are moving toward, of renting rather than owning. I mean, music. movies, video games, everything entertainment-wise is moving toward this subscription.
Yeah,
Well, it's not
because
just
now you don't own
entertainment,
it;
it's
you're
like
just licensing it.
productivity software also.
Yeah, software too. Like
absolutely.
you look at Adobe and what they're doing. Like
Yeah,
10 years
Adobe,
ago-
Microsoft. I
yeah,
mean,
10 years
you
ago,
name
I would
it,
have a
and
disc of
there is a
Adobe,
subscription model.
whatever. Like I actually still have like those old discs from Adobe um, Illustrator or InDesign, but now it's all subscription based. Expensive too, but
Oh, it is. Like there is at work. There's some software. I want to say it was SQL Server. But for what the company needed and what was being suggested that we would need for what we want to host on there, it would cost $100,000 a year for this one system.
insane.
Like it's like what the fuck? And now, bearing in mind, this is enterprise level stuff at this point that we're talking about. You know, this is quite literally what businesses deal in. But it's like, holy shit.
And Keenan Taylor is absolutely right. Like he's saying in the chat right now that now sometimes even if you have the disc, they have made it so that you can't activate the software use it unless you're unless you're connected to the internet. Like that's the problem I have with the Xbox One in general. Like why I was like screw this. I mean I was always doing PC and consoles at the same time, but then I decided to make the full switch over to PC after I got my Xbox One, just because it was like I went from 360 where even some of the free games I got on 360 through Xbox Live, like okay, pay $60 a year and you get 2 AAA games for free every month.
Yeah.
Every month, 2. Like I got Deus Ex, Human Revolution, and Dead Space for free because of Xbox Live on my 360. I can play those like on my 360. I don't think my 360 is even connected to the internet anymore. I just use it as a regular, like as a console, play games on it. I can play those games still.
Yeah.
There's no like DRM and anything like that.
You have them,
but
there's no artificial lockouts.
Exactly. Whereas on the Xbox One, this was the first thing I noticed when I like any game I played. The disc is essentially just the disc is essentially a glorified download code. If you put in the disc, then you have to wait for the game to install, and you can't play the game if you're not connected to the internet.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. Is it even like when I went and bought Skyrim, or I should say when my parents bought me Skyrim on the PC way back when it first came out, because I'd asked for it for like Christmas or birthday, something like that, and even then it's like it came with an actual disc. Put it in, it goes and it starts reading the data off of there, and then it's like, hey, by the way, you have to go and connect it to a Steam account. I already had a Steam account, cool, so I just sign in and it links it all up and off I go. But even then, it then had to go and for all intents and purposes, it had to fully download the game from Steam. So it's like the CD really, like even though it had the game files on there, it still went and re-downloaded it through Steam because it was like, oh, well, we're going to connect it through Steam servers and just go that way with it. And then if I remember it with Fallout 76, if you got a physical copy of that thing, it was literally a cardboard disc.
Yep.
With the fucking like Steam or Bethesda launcher code on there, and it's like, what's even the point of having a physical copy at that point? You're literally wasting money. There's no fucking point.
And also you're wasting space on your hard drive because these things make it more. Now you're downloading the game even though you have the game, and it just takes up space on your hard drive. Like in the Xbox One, because I got the original. I have the original Xbox One, like before they actually optimized the thing and better cooling and everything. That's a piece of crap, and it's got like I think a 500 gigabyte hard drive. I've upgraded it with a 1 terabyte this early on, but still like running out of space because each game is like 100 gigs because you put in the disc and then you have to download it, and then you're essentially just downloading the full game, and it ends up like each game is 100 gigs or more so. Like Halo 5 is over 100 gigs. The Master Chief Collection was over 100 gigs on the Xbox One. And this is a console. This isn't like a PC where, I can have, a 6 terabyte hard drive. And you can on a console, but didn't. And you have to do that manually. It doesn't come like that. Like, it's not, I don't know, I'm not a fan of this. Obviously, it makes them more money, and it means they can skimp on expensive processes like optimization. But like most of the games on my Xbox One are digital because like why buy the disc when it's just going to be installing the game anyways? It's not like I'm going to be owning the game. It's not like I can just play the game when the internet cuts out because I live in New York City, and in 2019 June of 2019 there was like an internet blackout. Like there was still power, but like there was no internet in New York for like a good few days, like 2 days really, and that's fine. I just kind of booted up my PlayStation, booted up my Xbox 360, and just played some old Assassin's Creeds or other games because I don't need internet to play them. But I couldn't boot up the Xbox One. I mean, I could turn it on, but it couldn't do anything because it requires internet connection to do base functions. Definitely couldn't play any games, even the single-player games. Which ties into a problem with the PS4 and that CMOS battery. I don't know if they ever fixed that. I heard something about maybe they did, but when they shut down the PS4 servers and your console's battery kind of goes kaput, you can replace it and it'll be fine. But unless you're able to reconnect to the PS4 servers, which will eventually no longer exist, you'll never be able to play games on that console again. It'll just turn into a glorified paperweight.
And bear in mind, that's intended. Like it wasn't.
Even if you have the disc,
still would seem on the face of it, but it's like it would seem that they intentionally made it so they can have to flip the switch, go and say, "Hey, thanks for all the money and everything. You have a brick now."
Well, and it's so that you can buy those games again on the new console.
Of course. I mean, look at how many times Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto 5.
No, they've done it just recently with the Spider-Man, the most recent Spider-Man title. Well, not the most recent, but Spider-Man PS4. And they have Spider-Man PS5. It's like the same game, but now you buy it on the PS5. It's got it's like 2 years or 3 years later, and they're calling it a remaster of that game. It's slightly better graphics and maybe higher frame rate. Load times are probably the only real significant improvement. PS4. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Like even with the discs, you're not gonna be able to play those games on a PS4 console or Xbox One console for that matter. If it's no longer connected to the respective console servers. Meanwhile, they shut down the 360 servers at least December? Last December? You can still play 360. I mean, you can't play them online, but most of the games that I had on the 360 that I was playing online, I now have on my PC anyways. But anywho. Shall we move on to the next topic?
There's another one?
There's 2 more.
Oh no.
So long-running Amazon Games boss Mike Frazzini is stepping down. He's the guy, I guess, did what was the New World or whatever? Yeah, the MMO New World.
Wasn't that the one that was fucking bricking people's GPUs?
I mean, yeah, but that's most games today, unfortunately.
No, I mean it was like bricking.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah,
you couldn't just reinstall the
where it
OS.
was causing the cards to overheat and literally die.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, I mean not just like I need to go and like reinstall the drivers, but like I have to send this back to the company and get a new one.
Wow, that's well.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon sell these things, so you could argue that it was intended, but I doubt it. Still, you could, because they sell them, you can say, "Hey, give me a free freaking card because you just fried mine."
Yeah. Good
Lawsuit's
luck.
waiting to happen there. If it hasn't already. haven't been following New World or really any of the Amazon stuff because it's just not interesting. But apparently, Frazini's been overseeing Amazon's video game endeavors since 2009, prior to which he spent 5 years working in the online giant's books department. So, what's the Kindle, right?
Something like that.
I think that's their book stuff. Amazon's road into the video games industry has been far from smooth. The division originally focused on mobile and Facebook games, before Amazon Game Studios announced in 2014 it would create larger titles for consoles and PC. Remember there was that cancelled Lord of the Rings games they were going to make?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Like, they canceled that. I thought they were saying they were still trying to go through with it.
I don't remember.
But it's flip-flopped a lot of
But
times.
the first was Breakaway, was never given a release date and canceled in 2018 for a few alpha playtests. The second, Crucible, was almost immediately taken back into beta after it launched in May 2020 and was ultimately scrapped a few months later. The Grand Tour racing game based on Amazon Prime's video series, the Grand Tour, made it to consoles in 2019, but the firm's first major hit was last year's MMO New World, which apparently was bricking their PC.
Detail.
And more recently, they published Lost Ark, which seems to be faring well, according to Games. Yeah, okay, so they did cancel the Lord of the Rings MMO. Nothing's been brought up. So, not the best tenure at Amazon in regards to games, but I mean, it's Amazon delving into games.
Like, what are you
Well,
really
for the
expecting
record,
here?
I don't think you can blame Amazon for the issue with the GPUs. I think it was more a problem with like firmware and sensors not doing what they were supposed to do.
Okay, but who made the game that was like, who was making
No. You
firmware?
can't go that route. You can't say, well, they made a game that caused an issue on this GPU because the firmware was bad. The firmware is created by NVIDIA, so if anyone's to blame for that, it would be NVIDIA.
Maybe.
If you try to cast blame on a developer because they created a game that's causing a problem in a GPU that they had no idea was going to happen, then
well, I wasn't sure of the
that's a
context. That's why.
serious
That's
issue.
why I was asking, because I don't know what the context of the situation was. I didn't even know it was bricking piece.
But do you know the Muffin Man?
Yeah, basically the GPU was getting too hot and it wasn't shutting itself down properly, from what I understand.
It was literally burning itself out. Is that it?
Yeah, that's not really a problem. It had something to do with the game. Obviously, the game maybe was using graphic settings, or I don't even sure. I'd really have to research it, but I don't think it was a problem that originated with Amazon creating a game. I think it was a problem that was in either the GPU itself or in the firmware, and their game just highlighted that problem.
Fair enough. Still blame Canada.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, Amazon games. And look, like Jeff Bezos going to space, right, with Blue Origin. They're trying to compete against SpaceX, who has the track record and technology that's reliable. And they just beat NASA. They just beat Blue Origin for a contract lander for NASA. The SLS, and Blue Origin got all kind of in a hissy fit about it. Like, have you seen what you can do versus what they can do? They've actually made it past the Kármán line. You barely made it past the Kármán line.
Oh, dare you.
For anyone who doesn't know, the Kármán line is like the de facto line that separates Earth from space. Blue Origin hasn't even made it into orbit yet. They barely made it into space. Their dildo-shaped rocket.
Are you making fun of their mother's rocket?
That's okay. Some of the Falcon 9 rocket designs look like a temp. Not exactly a case of winners in design here.
I mean, as long as it's aerodynamic, I suppose it doesn't matter what it looks like, huh?
Indeed. But yeah, so moving on.
Does it?
I mean, aerodynamics does determine the design, yes.
What if that's what they want you to think?
Okay, so that's what they want us to think. You don't have to think.
My goodness. I still blame Canada.
So here's an interesting story that's definitely, well, it's interesting. So Destiny 2, there's been a series of Destiny 2 DMCA strikes on YouTube, like any Destiny 2 videos.
Okay.
Including official Bungie channel Destiny 2 videos have been getting DMCA strikes.
Well, that's weird.
So
Isn't that because of the music or the soundtrack or something like that?
no, so apparently at least as far as the story goes, this past Friday, Bungie's filed a lawsuit against anonymous senders of recent fraudulent DMCA strikes against them and other content and Destiny 2 content creators. As reported,
Bungie are the license holders.
Yeah, like they're the guys that created and hold the copyright for it.
Well, it just shows you how much YouTube.
So yeah, the entire story is essentially to shed light on how broken YouTube's system is, because it essentially allows anyone, like as far as YouTube's concerned, any person anywhere in the world can issue takedown notices on behalf of any rights holder anywhere. Which is probably what happens to
YouTube
us.
just says, okay,
exactly. I mean, that's like we got a copyright strike in December of 2020.
Yep.
For bullshit, essentially.
There's no vetting of it. There's no
vetting.
Look at
the appeal was immediately denied.
It says nope, fuck you.
It was a different, like, it's. I'm not trying to compare this to that. I'm just saying, like, in general, YouTube's use of the DMCA is broken.
Tool is abused.
Like Nintendo uses the DMCA to take down any videos that it doesn't like. Oh, you're showing off gameplay through an emulator? That's bad. We don't like emulators. DMCA strike.
Well, look at fucking what was it? Sony doing that against the.
That's right. During The Last of Us 2 reviews, and anyone talking about the game.
Down. Apparently, they're taking down any videos regarding using emulation on the
Steam Deck,
Valve index or not
the Steam Deck, the Steam Deck.
Whatever their handheld thing is.
It's called the Steam Deck.
Yeah, sorry. My cat was bugging me, so my mind.
That's all right. But yeah, and in the past, when Last of Us 2 came out, they were DMCA striking channels talking about the game and reviewing stuff. It was crazy. You couldn't so much as mention it or taken down for it. And it's an abuse of the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. Legal, but too big for jail. So even if you can get them in court, they'll outlast you.
Yep.
Apparently, the Doe defendants were able to send fraudulent notices because of a hole in YouTube's DMCA process security, which allows any person to claim to be representing any rights holder in the world for purposes of issuing DMCA takedown. And as such, Bungie's suing them for damages, injunctive relief, including enhanced statutory damages of $150,000 for each fraudulent takedown notice that willfully infringed Bungie's copyrights.
Well, and hopefully this will get YouTube to change their fucking shit.
It won't.
They've been fucking around with people's stuff for way too long.
But it is interesting, like how, hey, look, the system that most companies abuse, in this instant, a company was being the victim of someone else.
Yep.
Abusing the broken system. Copyright holder was getting copyright strikes for their own content.
I guess I will see. If
and to be fair, you have to clarify, a copyright strike is different to a copyright claim on you. Claim you can dispute, and even if you don't dispute it, the only thing it does is it means any ad revenue from the video goes to whoever made the copyright claim. You're not getting the money, they are. That's it. It doesn't take down the video. It doesn't. In some cases it does, but it depends on what the copyright claim is. but it won't harm the channel. Copyright strikes harm the channel. You get 3 of those, and your channel no longer exists. Actually, I think it even takes down your account, like the account that's tied to the channel. So,
Wouldn't be surprised. YouTube pretty much does whatever the fuck they want, and if you disagree, well, fuck you, we're YouTube. But yeah, that's a great fucking mentality to have there, huh?
that was an interesting. But on the topic of Bungie, guess what the last topic is of the day?
Pineapples.
No, so it's time to shit on the Halo TV.
Hello.
So apparently the Halo TV show came out. I've watched clips out of, my brother sent me some clips here and there, they're out of context, but get some of them on the screen. Like, here's a trailer for episode 2. 33 seconds long.
Squirrel,
Can we count that high?
nyisd már ki a hülye szemed!
Apparently the show is exactly as we predicted it to be a few months ago, and that is bad.
Look, you just need to stop being such an entitled gamer.
We're fine.
It doesn't even use the soundtrack from any of the Halo games, too. It's like Halo, which has arguably the best soundtrack of the 21st century. And you're using none of it. Not even variations of it, such as what Halo Legends did for their shorts, where they had variations of Halo 2 tracks. Like, remixes and so there's been, like, some of the Halo YouTube channels have been kind of just posting clips of, like, out of the TV show here and there, but editing the clips. Like, the music here is edited, it's not in the show. Like, some of the things look good, like the plasma rifle looks alright.
I thought in one I remember seeing.
But right there, do you see that? First off, yikes! Look at that animation there. Like, that CG is bad.
In one that was showing that the plasma rifle they were using was like cardboard.
Yep, right.
Like, just literally.
We just missed it right there.
Like, they didn't even fucking.
They didn't even paint it. It's cast here. So here,
Yeah.
it's painted or animated, and here it's just unpainted cast prop.
It's like, at least try.
And some of the CG here looks horrible for the elites here.
Well, I mean, it clearly shows, like here's, and it clearly shows that, you know, it's a low effort cash grab by
Oh, of course.
people who give no fucking shits about what Halo is. They simply grab the first franchise off the shelf they could get their grubby little fingers on and said, all right, here we go, let's do whatever the fuck.
Yeah. You know what's funny? There's more gore in this show than in Halo 5 and Halo Infinite combined.
I'm not surprised.
Meanwhile, the original trilogy of Halo games, gore was abound everywhere. The Flood itself was gore incarnated.
Oh, fuck yes.
Especially, oh god, the transformations in Halo 3, where you see those poor Marines.
Oh, yeah. They got fucked, and not in the fun way.
It's bad too, because like you see, like, and we mentioned this when we did our trailer reaction a few months ago. Like, this chief look, like the armor and the props for the Spartan specifically, like they look good in some shots, and then in others they don't. Like, they look like fan made, like really plasticky crap.
Like your C-rate Comic-Con stuff.
Kinda, yeah. Like, here, someone made a
Not
comparison video of Halo Forward Unto Dawn, which was the live-action trailer for Halo 4, in which you have a live-action Chief who looks really good. And then you have live-action Chief in the new series.
But that would require, though, people making the props that actually,
I mean,
and your directors actually caring about what was being made.
props to the channel, the comparisons there, but like there's all these different, like you have guys. If anyone watching knows the channel Major Grin, essentially what this channel is doing is the same thing, where you're just comparing old to. Right, Major Grin like compares new Star Trek to old Star Trek to show you how far it kind of went from what used to be. This looks really weird. And I was just you have this show makes Forward Unto Dawn, which wasn't bad. It was just not. It wasn't as good as what came before.
It wasn't bad. It just wasn't good either.
Like it was okay. It was decent. And only because of the third act when Chief shows up, because that's when things actually start happening. Because it's all like this weird tween romance stuff in the beginning, but
don't ask questions.
Because you're following cadets in the military academy throughout the story. Like when Chief shows up at the end of that film, it's decent. You see Chief in action. He's actually kicking ass. He's being Spartan.
And you're seeing him from the perspective of a regular human too.
Yeah,
which I think they did do a
they did a good job. I think.
And then especially too, I love the if I remember it, there was a reaction too, like after when they're all like they're on like a Pelican or something, getting out of there, and then Chief pulls off his helmet, and he's practically the same age as this fucking cadet, and the guy was expecting some 40-year-old grizzled special forces kind of guy.
No, but they're because they were 14 at the time. It was I think the story takes place right during the beginning of the war, which. According to the description of episode 1, which is actually on Amazon, not you can watch it on Amazon if you have Paramount Plus free trial or whatever. I imagine if you have a VPN or if you're just not in the United States, you can probably watch the series from Amazon because Paramount Plus, to my knowledge, is not available outside of the States. But according to the description I read on Amazon, the episode said the year is 2552, blah blah blah, then the Covenant attack. And it's like 2552? No. The war started in 2525. Obviously, the show's not canon. We knew as much since 2019 when they said so. But
that's when they were actually trying, and they couldn't even get something as simple as the fucking date the war started right. It's just, it would be really nice if franchises weren't constantly prostituted out for someone to go and fill their pocketbook. I know that might be asking too much these days, but still.
I love this scene here where because you're seeing it from the perspective of these cadets, and all of a sudden you're seeing the speed and resilience of a Spartan from their perspective. Honestly, a little bit of shaky cam, which is.
Yeah.
And this is Forward Unto Dawn. This is not the good. It's decent. The props look good. Everything, that's another thing. This series, whether you enjoy it or not, the Forward Unto Dawn live action. It still looked good. The props looked good. The Warthog looked good. It looked.
The Warthog was great.
Yeah. When they're here and they're driving through the forest at night. Have a plasma grenade just go off on their wheel. Especially since they're just reusing some of the props that they had left over from Halo Landfall and Halo Deliver Hope, which were the Halo 3 and Halo Reach live action trailers respectively. So the Warthog was a old school Bungie Warthog and not the 343 redesign.
So it would just be nice if any practical effort would be put into these things instead of, like I said, just having essentially stuff prostituted.
And then you have Landfall, which is the epitome of live action Halo. Like,
Oh,
I would argue that
I know
that
it's a
brute.
fucking game trailer.
Yeah, it was made by Neil Blomkamp though. I just love that badass scene where the Marine just throws a spiker grenade into that Banshee.
Oh yeah.
Best scene. Like, and this is what we could have and should have gotten with a Halo TV show. But of course, we're dancing around the obvious with the Halo TV show, and that is, it's not made for us. It's not made for Halo fans.
Right.
It's made for non-Halo fans, which isn't not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It's just they're doing it in a way.
If someone were to take Shakespeare and go like, we're doing Shakespeare, we're in a fully, or imagine if someone was like, we're going to go and make Lord of the Rings, except we're putting in charge the same guys who keep making all the Power Ranger reruns.
It's like, it's Shakespeare, but in space. It's like.
Well, I was actually thinking, ironically, I was playing Mass Effect 1, because I got Mass Effect Legendary Edition, so I modded it up and I'm playing through it. And on one of the elevator trips you take, you have like the little announcer talking about different news things. They were talking about a Elcor-led rendition of Hamlet, which, for those who don't know Mass Effect, the Elcor are a race who have zero tonal inflection.
Oh, yeah.
All of their inflection is based on what they say, because in their own culture they use very small, subtle movements and sense to convey context and meaning. So when they're talking with all of the other peoples of the universe, they would say things like, "Delighted, welcome, human. Let me show you my store." Like that, and to them, they are delighted to go and meet you. It's just they always talk in a monotone.
They don't have a way to articulate their voice, their vocal cords.
With great sadness, I do not know. I do not have any other information. Like, literally, that, you get it, same kind of thing. Now imagine someone trying to fully serious say, we're going to make Hamlet, but with people who can only go and talk like that.
I really hope that YouTube footage of these trailers. But yeah, it's the problem is, they're making the show for non-Halo fans, and because look, all the
in a good way.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
It's not even like how Marvel was making, like...
No, even then, they're taking pages out of Disney Marvel's book. Like, because Disney Marvel, when they're adapting a lot of their stuff, they're not making it for people that know the characters, they're making it for people who don't. And yeah, there is a way to do that where it works. Like, okay, you can make, I like to think that the Sam Raimi, the first two Raimi films, that's how you make a movie for both the Spider-Man fans and those that aren't fans, right? Because now, a good adaptation, like say Dredd, 2012's Dredd, or obviously Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, a good adaptation, when it's properly done and it's honoring and being faithful to the source material, it means that you get both the fans of the source material and you get new fans, because now it's in a new medium that the fans, they say with Halo, okay, not a lot of people play games, or not a lot of people like FPS games, but because they're not a fan of the type of game Halo is, or just games in general, they're missing out on the good story. And adapting that story to a TV format allows people to experience that story in their preferred medium. However, that's if they do it well and if they do it properly, such as this ODST trailer here. But the live-action Halo series that we're getting on Paramount Plus, that's not the case.
It's not even good enough to be called a mockery.
What?
It's not even good enough to be called a mockery.
No, like honestly, the only way I can see myself watching it, if I was had access to it, was with you guys. Let's just MST3K it, right? At least it would be. I know I would be having a good time.
Yeah,
versus if I just watch it on my own, like I know it's going to be bad. It's not going to be. It's first off, it's non-canon, which probably works in favor at this point because.
Oh yeah.
It's just so bad, but. It's changing things like there's the chick who's raised by the Covenant to hate humanity, which breaks the whole thing about the Covenant
Oh,
and how they're
that's
hell bent on human extinction because that's what the prophets say to do because religious zealous, and power. The Quan Ha chick that's named the character. It's the insurrectionist main character of the show, not Chief. They did a face reveal for Chief.
Oh boy.
And the showrunners have said that they're not.
It's I would call it a mockery, except the mockery is intentional on it, and it's not even intentional. They just genuinely did it this badly.
No, and it's not even like so bad. It's funny. Like Terminator 3 is a non-intentional self-parody. Like you can watch it as a self-parody, and it's awesome. Because it's just like a parodical version of Terminator 2 with the actors,
Yeah.
But here it's just it's not so bad it's funny, like it's good. It's just on that bad scale where it's bad, it's painful because we could have gotten something good. We've gotten things better in the past.
Close to greatness. Except we weren't really that close.
In 2009, obviously for anyone who doesn't know the history of this show, I mean, this show's been in limbo for years. It was announced in E3 2013 alongside Halo 5. Originally slated to release alongside Halo 5 in 2015. Got delayed. No one heard from it since. All that we knew was it was announced in 2013, and Steven Spielberg was somehow attached, or his studio was attached, and that was it. 5 years go by, 5 years, 5 long years. Captain Cutter there, but you had 2018. It was announced, okay, Halo show, fall of 2019 on Showtime, and it's gonna have a huge budget. It's gonna be like Showtime's version of Game of Thrones, but sci-fi, in terms of like the level of budget and quality and all that. Which to me means jack, but it's like, okay, whatever. Like we had a date, we had a budget, there were showrunners tied to it now, but then showrunners left. Like 2 showrunners came on, they left. The show kept being delayed. 2019, they finally gave us casting, character, and story details. That's when we learned that the show was not canon. That's when we learned that Captain Keyes and his daughter Commander Miranda Keyes, doctor of the Covenant, like a Covey specialist in the series, are going to be race swapped. That's when we learned that there's going to be the human chick who's working with the Covenant, which makes sense. And when the main character of the show, although then it was said that Chief was going to be the main character of the show, but they did hint to the Quan Ha chick being like a side character, or like a sidekick to him. Oh, and knockoff Blue Team, who I will be referring to as B Team. Because you got knockoff Red, knockoff Kelly, and knockoff Linda on that. But yeah, we learned all of that in 2019. We learned that Halsey was going to be in it. We learned that they were actually casting the character of Paragonsky, Margaret Paragonsky, who's the chief head of ONI before, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the organization responsible for the Spartan 2 program. Halo, I know my brother hates that they actually casted a character for that person. Because in the books, she's never described. She's described as being old and as being a woman. That's it. You don't know what she looks like. You never meet her in the books. She's never described.
Because it's realistically, it's
because she's supposed to be the shadowy Oni figure. She's supposed to be the head of the secret organization.
They're a spy. They're meant to be very mysterious. Very much, you don't know who or what they are, what their real motives are. All that kind of bullshit. And
my brother hates that they even casted a person for that role. Aside from a voice, it's one thing if it's a voice on a silhouette.
What was it? The council that you had in the first Avengers movie that Nick Fury was talking.
Yeah. Where you just see a bunch of silhouettes, but you don't see any faces or anything like that.
You can
exactly. That's how you should have done it, but that's not what they did.
People are, but you don't really know.
But yeah, we got all that character and story plot details we got back in 2019, and it was still going to be on Showtime then. It wasn't until, and I think we covered it when the announcement came out. It was until 2020 or yeah, 2020, that hey, it's coming to, or 2021, either one of the two. It's been a long 2 years. But it wasn't until relatively recently where it's like, hey, it's coming to Paramount Plus now, alongside all the Star Trek stuff, and it's going to be in March of 2022, after being delayed several different times, because 2015, then to 2019, 3 different dates in 2019. That's 4 delays. Then delays in 2020, then delayed to 2021, and then finally delayed to 2022. It's like this show was in development hell for 5 years prior to
details.
And again, the people making the show have said like they didn't go to the games, they don't care about the stuff again because they don't. To them, this is just my problem with this show. Is that just like from as a show perspective, not as a Halo show, but as a show, you take away Master Chief and the Spartans, you take away the elites that look more like brutes, anyways, because they look like they have no necks, like the brutes. Even though the elites have those like lizard hunchback necks.
Yeah, they're very much lizards.
But you look at the like you look at the silhouette of these elites here. Like they look. First off, why are they so large? Like this is brute. Like
if I remember right, they are like what 7-8 feet tall.
The elites are on the same size as Spartan 2s.
As Chief.
Yeah.
And Spartan 2s are usually at
7 to 8 feet tall.
2 meters.
Yeah, they're at, I would say 2.3 meters tall.
Yeah, somewhere around there. But yeah.
Give or take, like I think George specifically is 2.4 meters. George 052 in Halo Reach.
Yeah.
So, and elites are the same size as them. Obviously depending on the elite, because not everyone's exactly the same height. But like Spartan 2s and elites are the same height. That's why in Halo 2 and 3 you can have them equally match up in multiplayer because they had the same hitbox, sort of. This scaling here is brutes in a Spartan, like because brutes are just massive. Brutes.
Aren't they essentially like a bear kind of thing?
They're like bear monkeys. Like look at this silhouette here, like this, like very fuzzy, pixelated, looks like a brute at first glance. But here, no, here's a brute. Like here's the ODSTs going up against
Brute smash.
What is it? More brutes?
Yeah.
No.
Worse. It's the in-laws.
The brute in-laws. Oh god, that'd be horrible. Also, that brute looks really good. Like the puppet brute there, like because you can tell it wasn't CGI, like it was a puppet, and it looked great. Like that brute just lines that ODST.
Oh yeah, I mean they. And what's worse too, and I've said some other stuff with like Fallout 4, but what's worse about this was like if we had never gotten the landfall cinematics and that kind of stuff, if we had never gotten those, and it was like this was the first time we ever saw Halo in a live action kind of environment, that'd be one thing, because it'd be we have no comparison for it,
right?
But the fact that we do, and we know that it's this bad compared to what we've already gotten, it's like we've gotten good stuff before, and that they
and those good stuff were canon too. It's like you proved like it's not that like we can't do it in a canon whatever. Like no, you can. Like hell, you can make a good. You and I said this on streams many times regarding the Halo TV series. We've covered it a lot in the past, but if they were going to do a Halo show, if they wanted it to be canon and everything like that, don't focus on the Chief. Yes, he's the face of the franchise, which is why I called it the TV show version franchise face 117. But like, just because he's the most recognizable thing, like ODSTs are recognizable too. Like you look at how well that game was received, like in retrospect.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Like you go like ODS, obviously everyone loves ODSTs. You know, we love ODSTs. We want like a show centered around ODSTs, or even just Marines. You know, go lowest as you can on the totem pole, right? Let's have a show about Marines. You know,
Yeah,
Greenhorns.
Really. Honestly, that would be
like as you said. You know, imagine
They'd
if we
be
had
new,
a Johnson prequel where it's like, okay, here's Contact Harvest, the TV show, like Halo, Contact Harvest. And you know you're focusing on Johnson and what was it, Jenkins and what was the other? Because like there's 3 of them, and they were all in CE. But like you know that's just using named existing characters. Make your own character. Like here's a show set, say the year's 2540, right? Or, you know, later on in the year and in the war, I mean, but still before the fall of Reach. You know, you have a squad of, say, you know, it's a platoon of Marines. You know, obviously because you're creating new characters, you can make them whatever diversity, whatever you want, because they're Marines. You know, you can have it be, you know, like 3 women, 2 men, and then whatever. Any whatever configuration you want.
Configuration you want.
And hell, just you can have them be like the archetypes, like, oh, he's the tough guy, he's the explosive guy, whatever. But if you make them interesting characters that we care about, because this is the problem with having a Halo story revolving around Spartans. With a Spartan, it's not a question of if they'll succeed, it's a question of when they'll succeed. Because it's a Spartan.
Yes.
With a Marine or an ODST, it's a question of if, because they're still only human.
Especially if they're against the Covenant.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I don't think they should be focusing on the insurrectionists for the TV show.
No,
like you can hint really to it. Like here's the thing. Like okay, you know, here's a good way to do like drama for characters. You have a squad of ODSTs. Say one of them was an innie before the Covenant War, but now you know they're all sided together to fight the mutual enemy.
Yeah, against,
so maybe there's like some internal. Maybe there's like internal conflict because you know he used to be an innie and these guys are hardcore ODSTs. And they're kind of always, conflicts. They're brawling,
kind of stuff.
Or but it's like it's just typical human conflicts with each other. Like at the end of the day, it will get solved because life-saving, whatever. But you could have done something really interesting because the games always focus around Chief because he's the main character of the franchise. But the good games, I should emphasize on the good games, don't have Chief as a character.
Follow order. Wait, what?
Yeah. The good games have Chief not as a character, but as you, like as a fill-in for you. And Chief shares the spotlight with the actual characters, like Johnson, Miranda, Captain Keyes, Lord Hood, Cortana. Like, you'll have the cool cutscene where he's delivering the Covenant back their bomb, but. It's like you compare, and I'm not even going to the whole Cortana TV show versus the games. I think we covered that when we did the trailer reaction.
Negative, Commander. Not against a ship that size. Not on your own.
Sir, permission to leave the station.
I just love this.
Master Chief.
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Just like I said, it would be nice if there was any attempt of the making stuff how they say they are, because of course when they first were like, oh hey, we're actually going to do this, they made the usual platitudes that we're gonna go and be
accurate to the books and the lore and the blah blah blah
before, even if we're not fully canon, and we're gonna do this and that and the others, but and it's like they didn't follow through with any of it.
No, and this is not to go a little bit off topic, but here's the problem with just doing like a non-canonical series in Halo. Halo is not like a comic book franchise, a IP or something where it's like, oh, you can do an alternate take on the character and no one will really bat an eye, right? Like this isn't the comic book version, this is this new version, right? Like Transformers, every new cartoon is essentially a new continuity, save for the few select cartoons that are part of a continuity together, like the Unicron trilogy or the Alliance continuity. Most new, like, Cyberverse, that's a different continuity than Transformers Prime, which is a different continuity from Transformers Armada, which is a different each show is essentially a different continuity. and a different take on the robots in disguise. Now, Transformers may not be the best comparison just because, or best example here because it's a very adaptive and transformative IP. I mean, yes, pun intended. Because it was created with 4 different continuities, like when it was created. Like, you had the original Diaclone and Micro Machines toy lore, which was kind of crap. You had the Marvel Comics G1, G1 Marvel Comics. You had the G1 Marvel UK Comics, which was a separate continuity. Then the the G1 cartoon, which wasn't attached to either of those. It shared ideas because the comics came first, but you had 3 Transformers continuities, and then you had the Japanese Transformers continuities going on. So you had 4 different continuities for the franchise, all at the same time when it started. And then you just added new ones over time. So it started out as a multi-branched tree that just kept branching out further. Whereas other franchises usually just start out as a freaking log and then start. But the whole thing, like, whereas Halo, like, there's only been one Halo universe, right? Like, you've had some uncanon stuff here and there, like the Halo Legends short, odd one out, with the Spartan 1337. Like, that's not canon. It's fun, but it's not canon. It's made by the guys that did Dragon Ball Z. You had stuff like like some of the live not live action trailers, but some of the like cinematic trailers, like, they're not canon. 343 has retconned some trailers to not be canon when they were originally. Like the Believe campaign, I think.
Yep.
Where it's set like 100 years in the future or something. It's like literally like the Marines that survived the Battle of Earth. And they're telling the events of Halo 3 from their perspective. But with the Halo's always, it's just been one Halo universe. There's never been like multiple continuities and this and that. It's just
Halo.
It's just there's Halo. Yeah, it's just the Halo universe. And this whole silver time, they're calling it the Silver Timeline, the TV show, but it's like, and that's the problem with the TV show, which is why many Halo fans, ourselves included, were kind of turned off when it was announced to be non-canon, because my first thought was, along with many others have said this too, why? Like, why watch it? It doesn't add anything to the universe. Again, it's not like Transformers where, a new take on the Transformers, right? Like, what does Optimus Prime turn into this time? What does his design look like? Are they going to do something more Armada or more G1? Are they going to merge the two? Like, there's kind of like a fun in games with Transformers, new takes on Transformers, whereas Halo or most IPs, new takes, either you're making it canon or you're making it very close to the original. Otherwise, it doesn't really work. Also, is it obvious that I'm a huge Transformers fan too? But
What?
Autobots. Yeah, but it's the Halo TV show. I mean, look, we predicted all this shit months ago. Predicted it during the trailer reaction. We predicted it before that when we covered the initial casting stuff. Moved to the Paramount Plus from Showtime. Again, they're not making this for fans. They're making it for the larger, which is true, the larger audience, which is non-Halo fans. And from a business perspective and marketing tactic, that's a sound tactic. Larger audience means more money. Market to them. But what you get is essentially remove the Spartans, remove the elites, remove Halo as a title, and you have what looks like a pretty typical sci-fi show. And I don't mean sci-fi as in science fiction. I mean sci-fi as in the SYFY channel sci-fi, the sci-fi.
Yeah, so you're talking at best B grade, at worst D or E grade, kind of bullshit.
And that's my problem. Is like, especially with something like Halo. Like, one of the things, we've said this before. Like, one of the things that got me into Halo was the visual style, the original, like, of CE. Just the visual look stands out. Like, Halo has at least used to have a unique visual identity. it's been going through a visual identity crisis for the last 10 years, but it used to have a visual identity that made it stand out, and it had a storytelling that made it stand out. Like, yeah, it's telling a very similar story. Good versus bad, humanity on the brink of extinction, on the back foot, right? But they're the underdog. Been there, done that type of story, but the way they tell it is in a new way. That makes it interesting. Hooked. Especially the first game. But they don't do that. They're going, okay, we need... It's essentially like they're making the show based off of checkbox, a checkbox list, like a to-do list. Here, we need Master Chief. We need Spartans. We need Elites. Covenant, Halo Ring, Siege of Madrigal, right? Like, essentially the big name stuff that people know, regardless of whether you played the games or not. And then, yeah, we haven't even gotten to the whole, like, the political nonsense, right? Where it's like, the main character is this, that, and the putting down white man nonsense. I don't even know if that's true. I haven't watched the series, so that's what I've been hearing about it. Honestly, most of what I've been hearing, though, is just that it's bad and poorly written, which doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, this is being, like, Paramount Plus is where all the Star Trek stuff is right now, right? Like Star Trek Picard and STD, and whatever new shows are coming out with now. Alex Kurtzman heads up those, and horrible writers. Doesn't surprise me.
Hey, Mando, if you want to have a giggle, look in the
group chat,
the chat here for the stream, or not the stream chat.
I got it. I'm
Discord.
I gotta zoom out. Critical strike on the Kaiser.
The Kaiser is motif for slap.
That's okay. I saw one that I'm questioning if I should show it on the stream, but it's what if Chris Rock made fun of Alec Baldwin's wife? Let me put it this way: it's a scene from American Psycho.
Wait. There was one. I'll see if I can find it, but it was something along those lines. But then on top of that, what it was, so it showed someone in like Fallout 4, and the caption was something along the lines of like, what if like something insult Alec Baldwin, something stupid like that.
Right, I'm showing
and then it had like a death claw chasing the player, but the audio was like Alec Jones saying some kind of nonsense.
I'm showing it on the stream anyway. Screw it. It's essentially just Christian Bale in American Psycho just shooting a guy at a desk.
Woo.
Oh, I closed down. Meant to shut down. Main screen. Yeah, Halo TV show. I mean, what else can I say? We were right. I mean, I don't want to say I told you so, but we freaking told you so. But, as you said, Cam, not surprised, just disappointed. But, what are you going to do? We predicted this. My annoyance about the TV show, though, I keep saying that, but something that I've seen coming up a lot, because we have a Discord account for the channel to this way, so I can not have to be bothered all the time. But people keep messaging it about the Halo TV show now that the public, non-Halo fans and just non-gamers have now seen the Halo TV show and are reacting to it. And most of those reactions are, oh, it's this, it's that, and they're reacting like bad writing and political correctness, escapism, and political propaganda, whatever you want to call it. Just bad writing and politics and bad writing and in escapism is something new. Like, they're reacting this is a new thing, and hey, when it's not. This isn't year 1, it's year 7, arguably year 8. Halo is just the latest victim, and not even, because it's just a stupid TV show. Plus, the games have been in a downward spiral since 2012 with Halo 4 anyways. And the franchise has kind of been in limbo. And people will argue Halo Infinite brought Halo back, right? Halo is back. It's not really. It was back for like 2 months, and I just stopped seeing Halo pop up everywhere. But unfortunately, like, I want to iterate on this on stream, but the Halo TV show being poorly written and have any political whatever in it, and whether it's like, it's being used as a platform to push political propaganda and narrow-minded ideologies, or to lecture the audience, or whatever it is, or it's just bad writing and that's it. Regardless, no one should be surprised at this. Unfortunately, this is to be expected. Like, it shouldn't be, but it is to be expected at this point. That, it was bad, poorly written, or anything like that. Things coming out and are well made, now that's an actual surprise. That's what you should be shocked about. Really? Because, like, I was telling Data last night about the Reacher series. Like, it's actually good. I started rewatching it because I was showing it to my brother now, and it's like, hey, it's actually good. Like, you can rewatch it. Like an actual TV show from 20 years ago. But look, if anyone is watching this and listening for some reason, one, I'm sorry. Two, if you're looking for a good live action Halo thing to watch, Halo Landfall, We Are ODST, Deliver Hope, Halo 4, Forward Unto Dawn, and what was the other one? Oh, Halo 3, the Believe campaign. Watch those. They're all on YouTube. Most of them are on Bungie's channel because Bungie made them. Halo Landfall specifically was made by Neil Blomkamp. So back when he was tasked with making a Halo movie that ended up going under, and he ended up making District 9 as a result.
Oh, on that note, fellas, I think I'm going to call it for me.
What are you going to call it?
That's a good question. I haven't figured that out yet. I'll have to go ponder.
Okay. Tell us when you find out.
Data's mean racing machine. There you go.
See you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I just look. They clearly don't care about the source material. They don't care about making a good product or making a quality story in exchange. I can already hear people saying like, "Oh no, they just care about making a profit." And yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. You can do that and make a good story at the same time. It's called making a quality product in exchange for profit and returning customers, so that you can continue making products to get returning customers. That is what a sound business strategy is.
Or at least used to be.
Used to be. Like some people I've heard like, they'll never make sequel. Like, you never have someone make a sequel because they want to make a good story. It's all about money. Like, they only make sequels for money. And yeah, sequels are made for money. But that doesn't mean they can't also be made to continue the story.
Just because,
or just to tell a new story in that universe, or following that character.
To be the lowest common denominator. You can still work to make a good product, but as we've noted already,
most of the time that's not the case.
There's no attempt to go and make long-term fans, long-term connections.
No, and that's the thing
there's no attempt at long-term anything. It's all about the short-term gain, short-term profit, short-term everything.
Right. It's because everyone's thinking about the now, and thinking about what's new and what's popular, right? What's hot. And I was telling this in our Discord server in the Halo chat channel. I was saying this, and I stand by it. Like, we're living in an age where entertainment is disposable. Like, everything we're getting right now is disposable entertainment.
And what's worse too is it's not like, and there's some entertainment that is kind of meant to be disposable, at least to some degree here.
Yeah. But not in the same way, not in the way I mean here. Like, where it's disposable, as in literally you watch once, that's it. But and that, like, it's garbage. You can't watch it again.
To be disposable where it should not otherwise be.
Right.
It's like, I mean, for example, how many people go, for example, how many people will go and every now and again, they'll go and watch again The Princess Bride, for example. That has a bit
I'm raising my hand right now.
How many people will go and rewatch all of the Firefly TV shows?
Or even the movie Serenity.
Yeah, exactly. Or how many
Die Hard. Or Die Hard 2. Yeah. Or even Die Hard 3. All three of them are good, so
hey, let's go and watch all through the Lord of the Rings movies from start to finish here over the course of an entire weekend, just to go and have it all hit at once. Like people do this because these are quality products that people keep coming back to go and see.
Because the quality spoke for itself.
It's expected, even designed from the ground up, that you see this thing once and then you drop it, you never look at it again,
because you have to move on to the next thing that they made.
You go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next
right,
thing.
like they're made. It's like making. It's kind of like making, you know.
It's.
I'm just trying to think of like a machinery or something, analogy in the real world.
It's pre-planned obsolescence with entertainment.
Yeah, it's like what a console. Modern day consoles, I should specify. You know, like a PS4, Xbox One. They're not designed to last forever. I mean, normal consoles aren't either. But like, I still play my Xbox 360. It still works, no problems, no issues ever. I mean, the disc tray was stuck, but I fixed it.
Not even the red ring of death?
No, but because I got the later model.
Oh, nice! Where they finally.
Yeah. I got my console in like 2009, so.
Oh, look at this fancy. No, I'm kidding.
Because I was still playing the PlayStation 2 until they stopped making games for it.
Yeah.
Which was 2009. So. Like, I'm like, why do I need a new console? Like, the only reason why I ended up getting the Xbox was like, I wanted a new console, right? I wanted to play all the new games, and I wanted to play with my friends, and all my friends had the Xbox 360 at the time. So, plus I was able to get Halo Reach and Halo 3 ODST on it. It was
all
great.
Your friends jumped off a bridge.
Then I watched them jump off a bridge and laugh. No, I'm kidding.
Woohoo!
Then I just took all their consoles. No, I'm kidding.
Woohoo!
But yeah, like the whole, like, and that's the thing too. PlayStation 2, I still play that. I still have mine. I mean, most of the time I'm using my emulator on my PC because I can record the footage now.
Oh, emulator! I barely know her.
Well, too bad. You got an emulator now.
Oh no!
I'm just gonna see you like walking up in a pencil. Who are we emulating? Who's the her specifically? But now jokes aside, yeah, nothing's being made with the intent. Like, no, there are things that are being made with the intent to go on forever, right? Like live service games, Halo Infinite, for example. Next Halo for 10 years. That's a quote from 343. It barely lasted a few months. It's already dying. The player count's diminishing. Master Chief Collection
stuff like,
has a higher count in views.
Honestly, I'll give one game company I'll give major props to is Hello Games for how long, and I mean they
for No Man's Sky.
Up No Man's Sky's launch. They royally fucked it. However, to this year, they are still putting out free updates with actual content, not just like reskins or like an extra little thing here and there, but actual content here to go and add to the game completely free for players to go and keep enjoying. And it's like, I'll give them that you know, they could have easily been charging, you know, a couple bucks for these updates, or put together a pack of several of these updates and be like, hey, here's a DLC, pay us $10 and got all this new crafting stuff, these new spaceship types, all this new gear, blah, 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 blah. They could have easily done this, because bear in mind, No Man's Sky is, even though it's a multiplayer game, there's no PvP to it. So there's no real versus aspect or worry about. I mean, you can literally go and save edit your game. It just works. But it's like they keep on putting out additional content for it, where other game developers would have either just immediately dropped it and said, I mean, even I'd say Cyberpunk's doing pretty good, but look at like how Fallout 76 went, and sure it's gotten a bit better, but at the same time it's maybe getting to where it should have been when it first launched, maybe a bit past that, but they still don't have any further talk on the modding scene, because they promised modding in Fallout 76 just like what they've got for like Skyrim and Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas and all that kind of stuff, to where you would be able to go and make actual additional content for it. But the big issue is, of course, well, this is a multiplayer game. How the hell is that going to work? We have zero tools for it, but they reiterated that, oh yeah, we intend to have modding. And it's like, okay, well, how? And they have yet to give us any details. And bearing in mind, it's been what, 3 years now that it's been out, which to me says they're going to milk the Fallout first stuff as long as possible, then go and make actual private servers people can host, and then drop any further support for it. But we'll see. We don't know, because they haven't told us shit. But yeah. Which, again, by the way, remember, Starfield's coming out end of this year. No fucking
November, right?
No, don't do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what fucking trailer they show at E3. Because bear in mind, it's coming out. Was it November? It's coming out. Yeah, it's November, right? Because it's like it's 11.
Yeah, I think it's 11/11/22 or something like that, or 11/22/22. I don't know.
It's coming out in
the internet.
We're practically at April. So let's see. May, June, July, August, September, October, November.
11/11/22, Cam. 11/11/22.
We are. We'll round up and say 8 months. We're 8 months away from Starfield being in our hands, assuming that there's no delays in it, which is possible. But as of information right now, we're 8 months, give or take, away. We have seen zero gameplay. We have not seen. We've seen a cinematic trailer, but we have seen zero. I say again, zero gameplay of this game. They've put out all kinds of couple cinematics. They've shown us all kinds of concept art and had their devs.
Didn't they do the same thing for Fallout 76?
But until we see, we have not seen anything of the product. They keep talking about the product, but we haven't seen the product.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did they show any gameplay prior to 76 launching?
No.
Okay,
no.
That's what I thought.
For 76, yes.
Oh, they did. Okay.
I mean, they had and I'll give this for Bethesda, as shitty as they've been. They did go and have and if I remember right, I believe they had a open beta for 76 before it launched, so you could actually go and play it.
You played
it was in the weeks leading up to it.
I mean, didn't you play that beta? I remember talking to you when you were playing it. Yeah.
Yep. And admittedly, it was at a okay state. It went.
It was the same state as release, though.
There. Yeah, and just there were so many issues and bugs that weren't fixed that were already known about, and it's just like, guys, what the fuck? Like it's like if I were to go and turn in a project that was in that same kind of state of game companies were to go, and I think that covers for most people. If you were at work to go and turn in a project of any kind, or turn in some piece of work that was of the same quality that games are being released at now, at best, you would be told, hey, look, I don't know why you thought this was good, but let's go over it, let's rework it here, and we'll kind of take it from the top, or at worst, you'd be fucking fired. They would say, this is fucking garbage. What the fuck are you doing? Just clean your desk and go. We don't even want to deal with this.
Okay, this is hilarious. So, I have it muted because YouTube is an asshole, but thankfully, whoever made this video, put freaking text on the screen. So they didn't see the they didn't see the Phantom until it's right on top of them. Yeah. It's unintentionally hilarious scene in the new Halo TV show. It's like, yeah, evolution of humanity right there. Oblivious.
Not to mention too.
Again, there's a giant Phantom. There they are walking up, and only now they go, hold on, there's a Phantom right there.
Yeah, it's like guys, because it's like even the Covenant's stealth technology
is kind of meh.
If I remember right, the Marines can kind of like they'll see something. Like we can see a lot better through it because, well, one, it's a video game and most of them, and they don't want to completely screw us over. But at the same point, it's like it's still noticeable. This thing's a fucking a space-worthy airship hovering on engines overhead. You're gonna fucking hear the thing. Don't bullshit me.
So in the show, they have a face reveal.
Because of course.
And like I think they even mentioned something along the lines of like, you know, trying to copy Mando, the show, Mandalorian. Here, Pablo Schreider on finally unmasking Master Chief in the Halo series. In order to know a character, you kind of have to take off the helmet. It's not like in The Mandalorian where there's a rule. To which I say bull fucking shit, because I've watched Dread and I've played Halo. And I know both the character of Judge Dredd and the Master Chief.
You must show your character's face to be able to convey the character, then either the screenwriters or the actor has failed. Because if you're saying that you must see a character's face to be able to play him, like body language isn't a thing, words aren't a thing. Because also too, like even through the games, Chief rarely talks. He does, but
rarely, and it's only in cutscenes in the older games
that you pay attention.
When Bungie was making the games, it was only in cutscenes he was talking. Cortana was doing the talking and exposition during gameplay. In the 343 games, he was Chatty Cathy Chief over. So
yeah.
Also, I'm playing the clip.
And even then, it was like okay, fair. You know, like a couple comments here and there. That's fine, but like I said, it just goes to show that the people making this stuff have no idea what they're doing, are just trying to shit out another product so you can buy it, consume it, drop it, and move on to the next product. That's it.
So, remember in the end of CE where he takes off his helmet, but turns out to be just another helmet? Because why model a face if you're never going to see it, right? So they just modeled the helmet as a separate entity to take off.
We should know. He takes off his head, so there's a cutscene. He takes.
I just showed it on. I just showed it on the stream.
Flying, and it never actually shows what would be like the angle is cut just right. Now, if you go and move the camera, it goes and
if you glitch and move the camera, this is what you'll see. You'll just see him taking off a helmet, and there's another helmet. Because why are they going to model something you're never going to see, that you're not intended to see?
Yep.
I'm trying to find someone. I saw someone that made an edit where it's the Halo TV show, and he removed the helmet, but there's another helmet. Like, to be more, because it's a game accurate, helmet removal.
But I mean, okay.
That would be awesome.
Now, it would have been funny if they had gone and had it to where he takes off his helmet and just under the helmet is a smaller helmet.
Yes.
Like that would at least be one of those like an amusing callback kind of thing. But nope, can't do anything like that.
Again, the silhouette of these elites walking up is so like, and it's not that the elites look bad. Like you look at the armor design on it, and it looks good. Like I like the ornateness. I hate the material, like the texture and material of the armor.
They definitely do. The Covenant do go for ornate.
They go for very ornate, but and that's why I think it works. But the material of the armor here, like you look at it in this scene right here. At least they have blue shields, so that's good. But you look at the armor, the material. And it looks like grainy, like there's imperfections in the armor, in the metals. And yeah, I know a little bit of blacksmithing. I'm flexing my very, very limited blacksmithing knowledge that I've leached off of my brother. He is a blacksmith. But the Covenant, like the material in the games, it's very shiny, very, very metallic, like very chromatic. It's got that atypical shading where, similar to like RoboCop, for anyone who doesn't know what I'm getting at here. In RoboCop, you see his armor hit, like certain light his armor and it turns purple.
Yeah,
but it's gray. Yeah, that floor. So that's what the Covenant have with their armor. Like, the blue, and there's like a bit like a white, like a purple to it. Or if it's red, there's a bit of a pink white to it.
It's shifting because also too. Bear in
it's
mind,
supposed to be an alien metal, so you're supposed to get this feel that it's not. It's alien. That they made it, not us.
Plus, too, it helps with our camouflaging tech. Kind of helps it.
Right. That's super shiny
all that kind
and
of
reflective.
Bullshit.
And here, I'm not getting that. Also, the fact that just the bulkiness of these elites, like they look like brutes in their size and their silhouette.
And I mean, they're
not their design, but their silhouette.
There has been some bulkier elite armor, but
but even then they still
starts getting ostentatiously ornate. Because if you remember, like the guards for the
the honor guards, or Halo Reach's the general armor, or the Ultra, which I personally love.
Yeah, because that shit was getting bulky, but it's also much more ornate, which increases its size, which because of scale makes it look slightly less bulky because it's so much larger. Because of the giant fucking headpiece it had, or some bullshit.
Yeah, because they go for the giant ornate headpieces, like the Council in Halo 2, where they have like the headpiece that can fit like 5 heads in there.
Yeah,
like here,
exactly.
This video has blur cutscenes from Halo Wars 2. This is an elite in Halo Wars 2. Look how much more slender they are. Look like this is a brute in front of it.
They're lizards.
They're lizard people, and the brutes are monkey people. Like, here's an elite about to kill a brute. Like, they're brute and elites in the same frame. Compared to the TV show, they kind of look like a brute-elite hybrid. At least in terms of their silhouette and size. Because the brutes are massive bear monkeys. If you wanted to put them in, like, if they were to exist in Avatar, they would be bear monkeys.
So we got anything else other than bitching and griping about Halo?
Other than really crappy Halo. Oh, I even forgot about Halo Nightfall, which was that mini-series about Agent Locke, the Halo 5 character. Even that was better than the Halo TV show.
I mean, I feel like some kid's fucking high school presentation on why Halo is the best game ever would be better than this at this point.
I mean, I still think that you and I can we can at least write a better series. You and I.
Oh fuck yes.
We can't make it because I have no idea how to do any like source film editor stuff or anything. Hell, Machinima is the best I can do, and in Halo, Machinima is pretty limiting.
Machinima level quality is good shit.
You can make some good stuff, but it's like in the terms of like storytelling, it's limiting. Like unless you're doing like some goofy shit, then it's the opposite. It's.
I mean, when are we not doing goofy shit?
Well, that's the thing. If I was doing a Halo series, I'd probably make it a bit serious. Because other people are doing the goofy stuff with the Machinimas. Leave them to that. They're better at it. God damn it. Give me freaking ball. A landfall, I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
And this is,
And that's the thing too, is that with so much of this stuff, and it's a very common theme, you'll have some franchise out there, whatever it might be, that has a decent following, and they'll hype up that, oh, we're making a movie, a TV series, a whatever, based on this, and all the fans are like, oh, sweet, this is gonna be great, this is gonna be awesome, and then it comes out, and as noted, it's not made for them at all. It's made for
and
a audience that has no idea what this thing even is. But and that alone is perfectly fine. However, the problem comes with
it's at the expense of the fans.
zero attempt to make it along the lines of the original franchise. It's just someone's fucking drug-induced haze of an idea of what this should be, with half of your lore chucked out, half of everything that's happened chucked out, and just they're oh, well, we're gonna do this and we're gonna change that and we're gonna do these other things and it's gonna be fucking great. And then they go, hey, how come? I mean, it's like, look at fucking EA with fuck, what was their
Anthem?
no, what was their Battlefield game where they had like
The politically correct Battlefield game where you can call the Nazis Nazis. They were elites.
No, not even that one. Or it might have been that one, but it was the one where they had like, they were trying to say like there was a female British commando.
Yeah, Battlefield 5. That was the politically correct World War II, where they're saying it was World War II simulator, even though you have non-historical
shooter with blatant, not just like okay, you have some suspension, because like if you were to look at, like, for example, Assassin's Creed, the early Assassin's Creed, like through the Ezio trilogy, where they were actually trying to be historically accurate. It's like, okay, you throw in a little bit of suspension and disbelief.
They removed the crossbow from Assassin's Creed 1 because it didn't exist yet in the timeline that they were setting the game. So
yeah.
It's like, because it was, remember the original trailer where you had Altair using a crossbow, and then they're like, it's not in the game because of historical accuracy.
Yeah, it's not historically accurate.
So
now they're like, hey, you're off in fucking Valhalla fighting gods and shit, and it's just like, eh. But
God damn, the pelican dropping that warthog. Oh.
But just you have these creative directors who will go and they make this shit, and at least originally there was this idea of, so how come no one's buying our stuff when we told them not to buy our stuff if they don't fucking like it? And that seemed to lead, and then they go, well, is it me that's wrong? No, it's the fans that are all wrong. I mean, and like I said, you see this across all entertainment. Look at Blizzard. Don't you guys have phones to where you have a whole
for
who
are
fans of a PC game, and they're like, hey, here is a mobile reskin of some Chinese game with a skin of Diablo thrown on there. Why are you booing us?
And then you had the guy doing the Free Hong Kong when he won, because and they're like, no, we gotta ban him, and we're gonna do all this stuff, and we're not gonna apologize to our Chinese communist overlords. Or anarcho-communist overlords, whatever.
But it's like, and that really then moved to, from a why are the fans not liking this, to, well, we won't care what the fans like. We're gonna make everything to be throwaway, and that's really where we're at now. Everything entertainment-wise is being made to be throwaway. It's not made to go and set up any kind of franchise. It's not made to go and set up anything long term. It's just made for you to go buy the thing. Maybe you enjoy the thing, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter either way. There's going to be no connection to the next thing, and off you go and just keep buy the thing. maybe you like it for a little bit, and if you don't, who gives a fuck? You already gave us your money. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's it.
And then you have the opposite too, where it's like sometimes they make a thing just to set up a franchise to continue milking you because that's what's popular, right? To make the set up franchise universe of cinematic film universe, whatever, like the MCU, because they popularized it. Which leads me to another problem the Halo TV show has, and this is a problem Halo's had for the last decade, like literal decade, since 2012, arguably 2010 since Reach, but Reach started it, but it's not its fault. You know what I mean? And we talked about it before, but character deconstruction stories, they're meant. You're not supposed to do them constantly. You're supposed to do it once a decade, because that's what makes them special. It's a way of telling you who this character is without going through their origin, or
without going through their oregano,
or that too. And what Halo Reach did was, okay, we had the Spartans, right? There's these super badass super soldiers, indestructible essentially, to now we're going to show them human and vulnerable. And it worked for Halo Reach, but then it became the norm. Halo 4, Halo 5, and Halo Infinite all have Chief being a vulnerable character, and they're all character deconstruction stories about the Chief. And nearly every Spartan story since has been like deconstructing who are the Spartans and blah 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 and why they're the way they are.
I blame Canada.
I mean, Pacific Northwest, close enough. I think 343 is based in like Washington State, somewhere near there. I don't know. It's Pacific Northwest, so yeah. But it's like I'm just not a fan of the character deconstruction story being used often, especially when you're just using it as the new norm, as Halo was doing. And it's unfortunate, and that's what the TV show is doing too. Like, oh, Master Chief, this, that, Spartans, their weapons, but can we control them? Blah 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 blah. Like, no, none of that bullshit. I want to see Spartans being badass. We pitched an idea on the trailer reaction video of like an ODST show where a Spartan cameo occurs, where it's like the ODSTs are pinned down. They're got 3 race, some infantry. But the Covey, some elites, maybe a few grunts. The Coveys are pinning them down hard. They're gonna die. But they're they hear on comms, like a Spartan, or they don't know yet it's a Spartan until you see him sprinting down the battlefield, because Spartan 2, even in their old Mark IV armor, can run a kilometer in under a minute. Multiple kilometers in under a minute. Actually. Like they're fast. Like, they're essentially Halo superheroes, right? They're superheroes of Halo, as Stan Lee put it in an interview with him back in 2010. And like, it would be a great way to show you what the Spartans mean to the regular infantry, like, or even replace the ODSTs with Marines. Like, but you can use a scene like that where Spartan comes in to save them, takes out those tanks and everything in like 40 seconds flat. To show you, this is what it looks like for the players, right? Because say you're a player watching this theoretical series, hypothetical series that I'm making up here. If you're a player and you're watching this Spartan just take out everything super fast, super awesomely, you're essentially seeing it from the perspective of the Marines you're playing with, right? They're seeing you in action. And for people that don't play the games, you're just seeing a super cool, badass super soldier, kick ass on the battlefield and save lives. And story-wise, it helps to establish why the Marines hold the Spartans so highly, because they're superheroes in this universe, essentially.
Pretty much.
So they come in to save the day. They got them out of a tight spot. This is a brief cameo, but a brief cameo can have a lot of power. But yeah, the Halo TV show being bad, not surprising. And honestly, not even disappointing at this point. It's just expected. Again, we knew this was coming since 2019. We knew it was going to be a shit show since then. I saw a still, by the way, of Captain Keyes in the TV show, and at first I'm like, oh, hey, it's Johnson. Oh, right, there is no Johnson in this.
Yeah.
Captain Keyes.
And that's one thing I don't get, too, is it's like, if you wanted to
He
go
looks
and
like Johnson.
make a TV series about, you're like, okay, we want someone who's not white to go and be our main lead. Johnson's a fucking favorite character.
And he's an important character.
I don't know who would be a good actor to play him, but if you can capture the same kind of personality that his voice actor did, I mean,
hell, just get David Scully. Just get Dave Scully to come back.
Like, you got it fucking made. You can make up whatever story you want before.
You have
his
Johnson is like 70.
Even just say. And there's been worse Deus Ex Machinas to go and make him survive Facet if you fucking wanted to.
I mean, look, Johnson's like 70 by the time of Halo 3. Because, cryo sleep and all that.
No way.
But I think because of cryo sleep and stuff.
Oh, you mean actual?
His chronological age. Biologically, he's like a guy in his 40s.
Biological age is probably something like what?
Or 30s even. But... but my point is, you have
and
a lot of
with human advancements in health.
But even just with the Human Covenant War, like there are some books that kind of like mention him, like in the book Legacy of Onyx.
Like just kind of in passing.
It's kind of like the book Legacy of Onyx follows a civilian character, and you're following this chick. It starts off with her at a young age. On Paris something, I don't even remember Paris 4. I don't even remember what the planet was, but it's being invaded by the Covenant. And they're trying to escape a glassing, and the glassing happens. They're in a she's in the backseat of her family's car, and the parents are driving. They drive into a cave to get away from the glassing beam, and cave in. Whatever, the car's kind of on an edge. And it's about to tip over. Parents are dead. She's alone in the car, and Marines come to save her. And one of them was Johnson, like she saw on the name tag, Johnson, Sergeant Johnson. And it was just a little neat thing. Like that's it. You can have a whole show that's dedicated around the entire invasion of whatever planet that was.
and that would easily be. I mean, you can have an entire movie.
As far as I'm aware, I don't know if that story's been told in a book form. So.
You got options.
Yeah, like you have 30 years of the Human Covenant War. Well, 28 years, right? 2025 to 2553.
Yeah.
So you have nearly 30 decades worth of fictional time to do a story within. And it could be about new original characters you created, as we mentioned before. It could be about Johnson. It could be hell. You could even do a story about the Chief. The problem with doing a story about the Chief, though, is his entire life. Chief's entire life, until from birth to the events of Halo CE, kind of chronicled in the events of the first book in Fall of Reach.
Yeah.
So you'd be depicting events that were written in the book. I mean, you could do an event that has very little text around it, so that you can kind of have more freedom. But honestly, the best thing to be doing would just follow regular ODSTs or Marines, because they're just regular humans. Writing wise, it'd be first off special effects. It would be cheaper because you're just making ODSTs or Marines. They're just in regular armor.
You go and make practical,
like we saw with Landfall,
like the armor and stuff, like what we saw previously.
Exactly.
There you go.
It would be cheaper special effects wise.
Canada or something, and
your writing would be. You'd have more freedom with what to do with your writing, because whether you're doing existing characters or creating your own characters, what you're doing Marines, you're doing regular humans that are more expressive, emotion, stuff that really Spartans. Not that they're not incapable, it's just they don't really have it. They're just
also
not.
Too, on the note of star power, you can go and with the regular marine armor, not even getting into like ODSTs, but we've even seen with ODSTs they'll sometimes go by regular marine armor is open faced. So you can go, because it's we need to see their face. Like, okay, you can see their face all day. And like I said, even with ODSTs, they've got, when they got their helmet on, there's both a clear visor and the mirrored visor that'll come down to protect the clear one.
Yeah, they have the ODSTs. They got the visor that can be clear, but then it can go opaque when they're kind of going into battle.
Yep. So it's like you can get your star power there.
Kind of like how modern day space helmets, they got the sun shield
I'm
and
wearing
no sun shield.
space rated armor. I'm gonna just keep taking off my helmet for no goddamn fucking reason.
Right, or like, why the superheroes in movies are always taking off their mask when it's supposed to be a secret identity. Like, I always hated that.
Yep.
Like, that's what I love and respect about Dredd and Carl Urban. He kept that helmet on the entire time, and he managed to portray a good Judge Dredd.
Yes, very good.
Like, and he was actually very expressive in the film, even though you don't see most of his face.
Oh yeah.
Like, also that entire movie.
Great job.
Because obviously Judge Dredd is the same. Like, the amount of face you see is the same amount of face you'd see in Batman, right, with the mask.
Yep.
That just proves that you could do a Batman film that has nothing to do with like Bruce Wayne.
To be fair though, with Batman,
you have the eyes.
It does usually have this duality of Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And we typically.
Oh, I'm just saying that, but because you have stories like Arkham Asylum, the video game story of Arkham Asylum, where
and in that
Bruce Wayne isn't involved at all. It's just
really
Batman trapped in Arkham. So, but honestly, also Batman does have the advantage.
Movie.
Yeah, but also Batman does have the advantage of eyes.
Asylum?
What was that?
If they were to make a movie out of Arkham Asylum,
like it could be good if they do it right, but it would not. It would have to be like a two-parter or something.
It's all happening in a very short time frame.
It's all one night.
So
all one night.
Yeah, exactly. It's one night, but so much is happening there that you could take it any one of a number of different ways.
Also, Batman has eyes that he can express, whereas Judge Dredd has that opaque visor that you can't see.
Yeah, so it's typically vocal tone changes and his
body language, as well as body language.
Yeah,
it's like he's grinning and angry, like it's really all you have with Judge Dredd is mouth and his body language and tone.
Well, and that's why, like, I remember too in parts of the Dredd movie there, you'd see him like clenching his fist, and you hear the leather gloves like creaking as he's clenching his fist, and you're like, oh shit, he's angry, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, there you go, that right there, without saying a word, you've gone and shown what this character is feeling.
Or like when he got shot and he's like super pissed but also in pain.
Yeah.
Or like you just see it, like he is angry, but he's also in pain, but he is angry.
Well, yeah, and it's like he's hurt, he's wounded, but at the same time you can tell it's rage, but it's a controlled rage. It's not a
which was a nice touch when the beginning of the film where the psychic is trying to read him. Where it's like, I feel rage, but it's controlled by something. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Where the head judge cuts her off.
Yeah.
Because, I guess that was like hinting to his origin a bit, clones and all. But man, that movie nailed. Like, and that's what you get when you're closer to the source material. Because the source material is, they always make like, oh, this won't work in a video game. Yeah, sometimes you can't translate one medium to another. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You have to make changes in order for it to be feasible. But you make changes where absolutely necessary, not because you can.
Exactly.
Because you have to remember,
like you have
the source material,
and not just blatantly do them and explain them later.
Because the source material became popular for a reason.
Yep.
It didn't just like, name or whatever. No, like people enjoyed it for a specific reason, whatever it is. So if you change it, then you're changing what it is. And it's different with every IP. Like that's why maybe comparing things isn't the best, because it is different with every IP. some of them are more similar than others. Like most superhero IPs, it's fair to compare, I think, because they have a common ground. But like, you know, video games, adapting video games to movies, some easier than others. Like Halo has proven that it could be adapted well into live action and animation with Halo Legends.
Then on that note, I gotta run. It's my bedtime.
Yeah, and I think we should just call it off because we've been rambling on the same topic for the last hour. But
That's what I've been saying.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. At the end of the day, we were kind of right about the Halo TV show. Not surprising at all.
Kinda about it.
No, kinda about it.
But yeah, oh well.
I mean, again,
Maybe
if
next
you
time.
want a good Halo thing, just watch like all the live action trailers from the games because that's better than what you're gonna get from Paramount Plus. At the end of the day, it's just a effortless cash grab. It's a cheap cash grab meant to get money. And that's it. It's disposable entertainment. I'm sure they're gonna try and build like a universe, whatever, out of it, but they're not going to successfully.
Anyway.
That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next week, we'll be we're going to be talking about all the Activision stuff. That should be fun. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys next Monday. Well, it's Tuesday, but next episode will be on Monday again, 7:15 Standard Time. That's going to be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed. The links for everything in the description below. You guys know the drill for everything else.